Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio today. And today I'm going to do a very natural sounding mix. I want the mix to sound natural, not over processed, but I want it to sound professional and I want it to sound modern enough to sit alongside the rest of the album. In this case, this is an instrumental song called Taurus from Homespun Centaurs' self-titled debut album. And if you listen to the rest of that album, the link will be in the video description, you'll see that it's an Americana kind of album, but a lot of it's more modern sounding. So we really wanted to capture that on this instrumental song. It's supposed to be more natural, the drums are more subdued, there's more openness and more space in the mix of this song, and yet it's modern enough to sit alongside the rest of the songs on the album. So the best way to get a natural sounding mix, obviously, is to not do that much to the audio, to use as much of the natural sounds that you have and not process everything to death. I'm going to make this happen using the Soundcraft Sapphyre mixing console and analog outboard gear, using the original tracks being played back from digital with the DAW. In this case, I'm using Reaper. This is 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. All the audio you're hearing, it's coming out through the console on individual channels. So I'm using individual audio interface outputs to feed the tape inputs on the console, then mixing through the console. I'm going to use just a couple of pieces of outboard gear. I'm going to use a compressor in the form of the Art TCS optical compressor. I'm going to use that on the piano in the song. I'm also going to use a little inexpensive reverb box, the Alto a-verb 2 40-bit digital reverb processor. It's actually got some other effects in it too, and I like it pretty well. It's a simple effect. I like it because the layout of the controls and getting it set up is really easy and fast. Let's try to get a nice, natural, open sounding and yet modern and professional mix. So I'm here at the console. I have Homespun Centaurs Taurus, the master tracks of that, in the DAW, coming out through the console. They're coming out of the converters all separately. Kick, snare, toms, overheads, drum room mic, bass guitar. Then we've got two acoustic guitars that are 3 channels each. We've got a left, center, and right microphone, acoustic guitar, another acoustic, left, center, right, and then we have a stereo piano. So it's an instrumental track. What I'm trying to do with this is go for a very natural sound, so there's not a whole lot of compression or anything like that going on. The bass guitar in this mix is one of only 2 things that really have much processing on them, and I have the Urei LA-10 compressor on the bass guitar. You'll hear in the mix why. I mean, to get it to sound professional, I still have to hold the bass guitar in place in the mix. And rather than using multi-band compression and a whole bunch of EQ, I've got just a touch of EQ and the Urei LA-10 compressor on this electric bass track to even it out and keep it where it's supposed to be. The acoustic guitar, they're not being EQ'd. No EQ on either of these acoustics at all. No compression, no EQ. It's just a 3 mic setup, 2 different acoustic guitar parts being played. The only other compression I have going on in the mix is on this piano. And on this piano I'm using the ART TCS twin compressor system. I'm using an optical setting on this. And I think I use the mix setting because it doesn't have a piano preset. So I just put it on the mix setting on opto, and that's just to hold this piano in place because it jumps out of the mix a little bit too much. I'm also adding just a touch of high mids to this piano to bring out some sparkle and make it spread out wide in the mix. So the console is going to help everything gel together well, because if you really think about it, when you're mixing in the digital world, you've got, say in this case, 16 separate tracks of audio. Those audio files, in my case, they're 48 kilohertz 24-bit file. And the computer, the DAW software, is supposed to combine 16 tracks. In this case, it's a very lightweight case. The computer, the DAW software, only has to combine 16 tracks worth of 48K 24-bit. Of course, in this case, we're doing it in the analog world. We're avoiding this because it has to truncate some of that audio. There is no way that it can take 16 individual 24-bit 48 kilohertz audio streams and pare those down to a stereo mixdown without throwing some of that away. The way that we're doing it here, and when you're mixing out of the box through a console, you're converting each of those audio streams back to an analog audio signal, and it's coming through the channels on the console, and it's being combined in the analog world, so nothing's really being thrown away because you're not combining digital audio in the box, you're combining analog audio signals in an analog console. So let's see how natural and professional this mix sounds so far being combined this way on an analog console. So the trick to this mix is I'm not using a lot of compression. I don't have any compression on any of the drums, and I'm trying to make the kick drum and the bass guitar sit together really nicely in the mix. And it's working out pretty well. Mostly I'm just doing that this time with levels, not getting the bass guitar too loud because it's not needed for this style of a track anyway. So by keeping compression on the bass to pin it down in place and then keeping the level a little lower, I'm able to still hear the kick drum without exaggerating the attack and making the drum sound unnatural. I'm going to take out everything but the drums now so we can hear the drums. A huge amount of the drum sound in this case is coming from the mono room mic. Now this was recorded in a large room with the drums on one end of the room on a rug, and then this mic was about 12 feet away, just a mono room mic. I'm going to play back just the room mic by itself now. Now I'll play all the drum mics combined with the room mic, and then you'll be able to hear that the room mic is kind of defining the sound of the drums overall, and then we're adding in all the other mics, but we're still getting the same vibe. That room mic is kind of placing the drums in the space, and then the rest of the close mics are filling in. So the closed mics fill in that room mic really nice, and it sounds really good. That's kind of the vibe I want. I want it to, sound big and full and professional. I want the drums to be punchy enough that they don't sound weak or unprofessional, but I don't want this vibe of this huge, overcompressed rock and roll drum sound or anything. I want something that's nice and sounds like it belongs in the room with the acoustic guitar and the piano. I am using some artificial reverb, but I'm not using any artificial reverb on the drums. I have a little bit on the acoustic guitars, but what I'm doing is I'm sending only the center mic out this auxiliary send to a reverb unit, and in this case it's the Alto a-verb 2. I'm using a hall setting to more closely match the sound of the drum room mic. I'm not sending any of the other mics on these acoustics because there's really no reason to. I'm sending the center mic, sending a mono source to the reverb in this case. Here's the reverb that I have on the acoustic guitar and the piano. Now that you've heard the reverb, here's the entire mix again with that reverb. So to me, this is working out pretty well. It's striking a nice balance between just a very natural sound, not using a lot of compression and just stomping everything to get everything to sound in your face, just letting things lay there in the mix nicely, summing it in the analog world so that it gels nicely and all sounds like it belongs together. I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to go ahead and play this entire mix for you. I got to unsolo all this stuff and okay. Mute thingies. Okay, there we go. Mute thingies. Don't unmute things. Don't forget to do that. Okay, ready, set, go. well, not the most perfect mix in the world, but I think I accomplished demonstrating what I intended to here on the analog mixing console, the Soundcraft Sapphyre. So I think I accomplished something with that. Not sure if it was a good something. Yeah, it sounded pretty good. I mean, overall, not bad for not using any compression on the drums. No parallel compression, no nothing. It's a good, simple, natural sounding mix. That's what I was trying to demonstrate. I think it turned out pretty good. Well, that was really cool and really fun and actually pretty easy and pretty simple to get a great sounding natural mix. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the demonstration in the video. Also hope you'll check the links in the video description for the album Homespun Centaurs that this song came from, as well as all the other links in the video description for ways to help support this channel. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel if you have not done so already. And as usual, I hope that you all have an excellent and wonderful day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond. Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Recording. I'm recording a video and some audio too, and some audio too.